My name is Maxim, and I want to share my story with you. I don't know how it will all end, but at least someone else will know what happened to me or will happen. I can't explain in any way what is happening now, and I hope that you will help me figure it out. But about everything in order. Yesterday I was sleeping peacefully, but I had to leave a pleasant oblivion, because I was aroused by the sound of an SMS message. Still sleepy, half asleep, I raise my head. Dawn is barely breaking outside the window. The rays of light timidly try to get inside. The July heat had already managed to heat the roof of my house, and I felt it starting to get hot from above. Even birds don't sing this early, all normal creatures are asleep, but not me. I am greeted by the quiet rustle of maple and oak leaves outside the window, which are swayed by a light lazy breeze. The forest air, filled with the scent of pine needles and the smell of the river, penetrates into my room through a slightly open window. Sounds like a great start to a romantic story. Sure. I wouldn't write if everything was really like in a fairy tale. Despite the external calm and the peace reigning outside, I feel only anxiety in my soul, which is growing with every second. I pick up the gadget. The harsh white light burns my eyes. I turn away and cover my eyes with my free hand. A blanket and a sheet rustle under me. I gradually get used to the light and look at the screen. Then I shake my head in confusion. What I see in front of me cannot happen according to the laws of nature and common sense. It just shouldn't exist. Logic and reason reject what is happening. Nevertheless, it is there. A new SMS message from Vera. From the corner of the text message, the time of sending looked at me mockingly, for 42 in the morning. I knew that time. I knew too well, it was at this moment exactly 7 months ago that my beloved, dear Vera died. Faith. We met on a cool autumn day. I was walking to work through the park and saw her. She was absurdly and sweetly trying to fix a broken umbrella, and then, as luck would have it, a real cold waterfall poured down from the sky and managed to wet her curly red hair, making them look like amber icicles. I ran up to her, opened my umbrella and asked where she needed to go. She laughed and asked to walk her to the bus stop. Here we were lucky, the transport arrived quickly. Vera thanked me with a smile and deftly jumped into the warm interior of the iron clumsy strongman. I don't know why, but I looked after her. She looked back, too. I regretted that I didn't take her phone and went to the office with sadness in my heart. What was my surprise when I saw Vera again at the return stop of the same bus. She was chewing a pie bought at a nearby stall and washing it down with fragrant coffee, which, apparently, she bought there. I walked up to her. She turned around, and a joyful enlightenment appeared on her face. She recognized me. As it turned out, she took 2 pies and offered me the second one. I didn't refuse. We got on the bus together and sat down next to each other. I had to leave soon, and I offered to exchange phones. She agreed. On the weekend we met and went for a walk. Then another. And more. So we became a couple. Why am I telling you all this? Just so you know, I loved this beautiful and cheerful red-haired miracle. I was willing to do anything for her. She was the best thing that happened to me in my whole life. I doted on her and just wanted to live happily ever after with her. As you have already understood, this did not happen. We loved each other selflessly and finally decided to get married. Vera and I planned to have children, so we sold both our apartments in the city and took a solid 2-story house in a very picturesque place. Beyond the threshold is a forest, not far away is an azure river with a slow safe current, and on the left side is an emerald field dotted with poppies, cornflowers, and daisies. With the remaining money I bought, albeit a small one, but a new car. We found the perfect place and made excellent conditions to raise children. We lived in this house for a year, and then a night happened that turned my life upside down. Then Vera and I had a fight over some trifle, and she said that she would sleep on the first floor on the sofa in the living room that night. She was very offended and, apparently, was not going to spend the night with me for anything. I reluctantly agreed and went upstairs to the bedroom. I didn't want to sleep alone without Faith, but I knew that we were both on edge, and if we lay down together now, we would continue to swear endlessly, so the only right decision was to go to different rooms, cool off and talk with a fresh head in the morning. Vera got so angry that she even decided not to change, and just lay down on the couch in a t-shirt and jeans, And I went up the stairs to the bedroom, closed the door and collapsed on the bed. The remnants of adrenaline in my blood kept me awake for a long time. And the moon, as luck would have it, shone brightly in my face, and the curtains were of little use. I hated Vera for this evening's fuss. But no, I couldn't stay mad at my beloved for a long time. I tossed from side to side and finally, somewhere around 1 o'clock in the morning, I fell asleep. I was looking at my beautiful dreams when suddenly I was awakened by a piercing scream from the first floor, but it was not the cry of Faith at all, but of someone or something completely different. The cry, if it can be called that at all, was as if primordial, as if it was an ancient man or some animal screaming. I rushed down the stairs at the speed of light and saw in the living room something that still visits me from time to time in nightmares. Vera, or rather what was left of her, lay sprawled on the floor. Her body turned into nothing more than a bloody mess of meat and entrails, smeared on the floor and walls. I saw only the upper part of the body, the lower part was nowhere. I immediately threw up, and I left the overcooked chops with rice on the floor, which Vera had carefully prepared for us the day before. The front door was wide open. Fresh scarlet bloody prints, glistening in the first rays of the sun, went beyond the threshold and dissolved into the pre-dawn darkness. I looked at these footprints in an attempt to understand whether it was a beast or a man, but they turned out to be very smeared, and it was impossible to determine their owner. A cool wind blew at me from the doorway, as if from an open mouth. I assumed that something that killed Vera decided to drag her lower part into the forest in order to finish it later. Going to bed was out of the question. The brain was trying to promote the idea that it would be nice to close the front door. I gladly agreed with him, but Faith lay right on the way to the door. I couldn't get over myself and couldn't think of anything better than to lock myself in the bedroom upstairs and call the local police. I was comforted by the fact that morning was beginning on the street. The sun's disk almost came out from behind the horizon and painted the sky amber. The terrible dissonance of the external natural beauty and the eerie sight on the ground floor tore my heart. Surprisingly, I didn't wait very long. The police arrived, examined everything and said that it was an attack by a forest animal. A lone animal sneaked into the house and killed Vera, tore her into pieces that are easier to carry, and ran off into the woods. I told them about the unearthly scream I heard before rushing into the living room, but they just waved me off and said that many predators are capable of making very scary sounds. It seemed to me that they didn't care about what happened at all, and they wanted to go home as soon as possible, and not hang around with a half-brother, because of which they had to drag themselves to the damn forest at 5 in the morning. In their defense, I can say, what could they do in this situation? There is no criminal, and no person, in principle, could have done something like that and run away so quickly. I couldn't give the police any ideas myself, because I didn't really understand what had happened at all. I escorted the police out and spent the whole day in mourning. A week later, I somehow immersed myself in work and business, but I could not forget all this. It happened so long ago and so recently at the same time. 7 long months I am alone. I look at the screen again and my eyes widen like an owl's. I see a short text message from Vera in front of me, which makes my blood run cold. She made a nice snack, what the hell? I thought to myself. This is someone's sick joke. I stare blankly at the screen, not knowing what to do. In the end, I decided to write to the bastard who found her phone, because he was wearing jeans, and no one found the lower part of Vera, or rather, he wasn't looking for it. Who is this? I wrote. Yes, I know, this is a moronic cliched beginning of the dialogue, but where else could I start? The person on the other end answered me quickly, great question. But first I have to ask you something, why didn't you save her? She was so innocent, so vulnerable. You could have saved her. She screamed and screamed your name, and you didn't do anything. Why, you son of a bitch? I was about to write, but suddenly I saw him typing something, and I decided to wait for this freak to give out. How rude, Maxim. Are you kissing your wife with this mouth that spews vile curses? Oh yeah, wait, you're not kissing anymore. My breath caught in my throat. Rage was replaced by an animal fear that swept over me. I gathered my will into a fist and wrote, how did you know that I was going to cover you with obscenities? How do you know my name? My hands were shaking violently, and I frantically looked around the room, illuminated only by the rare rays of the sun, which struggled to break through the heavy gray, pink sky. This time I had to wait longer for an answer. I watched with horror as 3 dots mockingly danced on the screen and the note Vera is typing a message was displayed from below. However, in the end, instead of a message, I got a picture. There was a picture of a door on it, which I immediately recognized. This is the door to our, now my bedroom. My soul sank into my heels. I abruptly shifted my gaze to the door, expecting in fear that it was about to open, and now I would see this sick monster in the aisle. But nothing happened. The next moment I jumped in fear and almost dropped the Chinese gadget. The sharp sound of the phone alerted me that I had a new message. I looked at the screen and saw a message from a freak who pretended to be my late wife. "Don't worry, Maxim, I'm not going to kill you. Actually, I came to give you a gift. When you get tired of being scared of every rustle, go out the door and see what I brought you. I promise you'll like it." My stomach twisted with horror. I began to look around again and thought that now I would see this creepy monster behind the curtain or suddenly he would jump out of the closet, but, fortunately, nothing happened. Suddenly something knocked on the window, and my heart jumped. Exhaling sharply from fright, I realized with relief that it was just an acorn that had fallen from a branch and hit the window. Damn, even the outside world is making fun of me. I turned on the lamp and lay there for about 10 minutes. Then I nervously threw back the blanket, struggled out of bed and on legs shaking with terror went to the door. Already at the very door, I hesitated and thought, do I really want to see what awaits me there? In all horror films, this stupid idea always ended as badly as possible, and someone always ended up dismembered. As a result, I succumbed to curiosity, touched the cold door handle and turned it, but did not dare to open it. Come on, Max, I thought to myself. It's just a sick bastard's dumb joke. Although my subconscious did not believe the cheap words with which I tried to calm myself and persuaded me to go back to bed, because nothing good was waiting for me outside the door. Gathering my strength, I abruptly opened the door. To my surprise, I did not see what I expected at all. It wasn't some creepy monster, not the lower part of my wife, not a psychopathic maniac with an axe. It was a piece of paper lying alone on the wooden floor. I cautiously approached the piece of paper, bent down and picked it up. The sun rose even higher and its golden rays unceremoniously burst into the windows of my house. The note was carelessly written. It seemed impossible to read it at all, but in the end I managed to make out what was written. I saw only one phrase: "See you tomorrow at 4:42. I've been on edge all day today. I didn't get enough sleep, I didn't eat much. I can't and don't want to do anything. I gave up on work and took a week off at my own expense." The day dragged on painfully long. I went to bed at midnight, and now the alarm clock hands mockingly show 4:42. The phone notifies me of the message again. I never would have thought that a stupid short melody would instill such horror in me. I do not know what to do. I don't know who's texting me, or who left a note yesterday. Is this freak real at all, or am I going crazy? How could he read my mind and how did he know my name? Help me.